Hi. Hi. It's nice to see you. How you doing? Hi, She Thinks Thoughts. Hello, Solian. My goodness. Hi, Christy. Hi, Miss Knowles. Oh, I like that name, Queen Honeyface. I think I'm seeing a lot of new people. So, hello, hello. Hey, Tantra Gourmet. It feels like it's been forever. Hey, Gianna. I hope everyone is really, really well. I used to say it all the time when I felt, oh, you're in South Africa. Hey, from Costa Rica. Hey. I used to say it all the time. Can you bring me my bottle, my cup? It's a big glass of water. That I would get on and speak as I felt compelled, as I felt led by spirit. And it was really interesting because at some point it was just like, nope. No, the big glass. I just didn't have, oh, I did begin in 11/11 because you know I'm on 11/01 baby. November 1st. No, the pint glass. So, thank you, Rhea. Yeah. Yeah, a jar. Oh, yeah, thank you. So, it's been probably a couple of months to be really honest. I was on probably 3 times a week. I was doing relocation talks, and I was doing spirit-led downloads, and I would wake up feeling like, oh my God, I need to pull for people. I was reading tarot for the collective for months and months. Thank you, baby. And all of a sudden, it was like, oh, your energy needs to be wound in because there's some things that you gotta focus on with you. And I thought that this was a really good time to have this conversation because I think that this is where personal discernment comes in. Knowing when it's time. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm hoping you can hear me okay. Knowing when it's time, knowing when spirit is communicating to you, you need to do something different, right? So I am always asking, and I ask this genuinely. It's from the bottom of my heart, really. I want to be better. I want to evolve. I want to have the work that I do be supported by my path. I want to be in alignment with my path. And these are things that we say, but we don't really know what that always is going to mean in practice, in implementation, right? So it had occurred to me at a certain point that there were some other aspects, because I do shadow work. Shadow work doesn't stop. You get different things revealed to you. You figure out where it is that it belongs, where it's coming from, what it's rooted in. And of course, there's our childhood traumas. There's other things. Thank you. I'm actually, okay, secret. I twisted it because I'm starting my locks again. I went to the water. I needed to go visit my mother, Yemoja, and I was called to the water, and I was in the water, and my hair was all pinned up. It was when it was straight. It was all pinned up, and I heard this loud voice in my head that said, "Lock your hair," and I was like, my hair all straight. I literally have never grown my hair this long. My hair is almost tailbone length, fully straightened, right? This had been my goal for years, for lots of reasons, of course. Not at all in the minority, the sense of confidence that it gave me, especially when I was going to be, hey Cece, especially when I was going to be, in new circumstances or was going to be around people that I didn't know. And we can talk about that, of course, anytime. But, being a chocolate woman, being a chocolate, buxom or chubby, whatever you want to call it, woman, there are certain things that give you confidence, especially in mixed company. And my hair was one of them. it just, it gave me a lot, and it gave me this sense of acceptance, right? And so when I got in the water, full out of nowhere, and Spirit was like, no, it's time to lock your hair. I've had locks 4 times. I've had 4 sets of locks. Well, this isn't my first one. I'm going to post a picture. I posted one a while ago. This won't be my first set, but this is the first time that I'm going from my hair already grown out instead of starting from scratch, because I usually cut my hair bald and start from scratch. But this time, it was like, no, do it now. But this goes back to kind of what I was talking about. There was a point when I wasn't getting the whisper to go live. And so I didn't. And then as it continued, I started going, okay, well, what should I be doing with this energy? I needed to go within. And so there was some evolution, some things that I was going through, not necessarily bad, but even if it wasn't the most comfortable, it was ultimately for my best good. It became clear to me that I had some past life stuff that had come out of nowhere. Well, at least it felt like it was out of nowhere. When you consider your coincidences and you cannot give some solid tactile reason why things are going on, it is your prompt to do further research, to really consider where these things are coming from. And it led me to some past life work through my shadow. What lives in your shadow, and I'm going to be doing like a whole series on this, because I'm going to be doing a whole series. But what lives in your shadow work is not only, hi Elle, it feels like forever, I haven't seen you. What goes on in your closet, in your shadow, it's not only just the traumas or the karma that you've accumulated in your waking life right now. It's oftentimes connected to things that you really have no recollection of as well. This is the fact of the matter is that we are far more than we consider ourselves to be. Remember, energy cannot be destroyed or created. We never actually die. We just have different experiences. So the experiences that I've been having in this life are not only the result of what's happened in this life, but they're also the result of things that have happened before. So I've been asking, I've said it many, many times. I want to be on my path. I want to find my calling. I want to know who it is that I am. I want to be the best version of myself. These are things that I've said with my whole heart, because I really meant it. But what I didn't know was where it was going to lead me. I didn't know that it was going to lead me to considerations of myself and awarenesses of things within myself that still needed work. Things that I was comfortable with just being diplomatic. Being diplomatic is not the same as having compassion. Being diplomatic is an easier way of handling conflict, but it's not the same as being compassionate, right? But it was something that I had to grow in. Being an empath, there's a part of you that doesn't feel comfortable being fully exposed, because at the end of the day, when you're an empath, you take on a lot of what is going on around you. Hi, Hungry Medium. I haven't done the live in forever. And so I was going through the feelings of being exposed, and I found out that there was a couple of articles written about me, or like I was mentioned in some things, and I got to a certain amount of followers, which for some people is nothing. It's a tenth or a fifth or a 27th of their followers, but for me it was a lot. And I was thinking about how it was making me feel, and I was also watching how my work was evolving, right? So I by the end of next month, the end of April or May, actually, there'll be about 20 of us here. I've been actively helping people move to Costa Rica, move to Mexico, move to other places, because I really do that work that I talk about. My spiritual gifts have been growing. My claircognizance has gotten wider. I'm able to see present and past in a way that I didn't before. So there's been a lot going on. And so I had to take a moment to just log off and sit with me. go to the water, see what spirit, see what Yemojang wanted to share with me, see what my ancestors wanted to share with me. Just really connect. And you can't always do that when you're overly stimulated. And I know that for a lot of people, because I'm really not on as much as a lot of other people are, it just got to be a little much. And I said, well, I need to sit with me. What is it that spirit is trying to show me? Well, there were certain things. I always talk about discipline, but what I've realized is that as your gifts grow, as your commitment to spiritual work increases, your requirement for personal maintenance increases. Your requirements to come back to center, to be in meditation, to do your spiritual baths, to, you're exposed to actual spiritual warfare. Like, these things really happen because those of us that do this work, we are, by assisting you in your integration of all aspects of yourself, we're shifting part of your timeline. We're shifting part of your bondage to the system. And so those of us that operate as guides, we're taking on, or at least involving ourselves for the time that we're giving you the reading, and for the time that we are guiding you, because I also do spiritual life coaching. So, the time that I spend in your energy field, in your storyline, I have to do certain maintenance to make sure that I remain anchored, to make sure that I protect myself, to make sure that I am, and so every person, every interaction, every conversation doesn't only reveal things about you, it reveals things about us also, when we're honest. So when you see or you experience, influencers or counselors or spiritualists or ministers or whatever, if they never stop, be concerned. If they never log off long enough to collect themselves, because it's necessary. It's necessary. I have to make sure that I am always coming from a fed, comfortable, cup full place. But the beautiful thing is, when it came time and it was clear to me that I had things to share, I was excited because I had missed you. I had missed the interaction. I had even taken a little bit of a break with Patreon, just because it took so much energy. That shadow work series that I did, you guys do not understand. The shadow work series and the intuition series took everything to do. I poured my heart out in it. It was a very vulnerable thing. And being a Scorpio, we like to, being out and being seen it can take a lot out of us. And so I had to reel it back in, take a minute, and see what else Spirit had for me. So yeah, updates. I'm locking my hair again. This will be my 5th set of locks since my first set when I think I was like 17 or something. So Spirit said I needed to do that. Hey, it's so nice to see you. Hey. I'm also being led to do a part 2. Well, like a part 2 shadow work series. I'm excited and I'm ready for this retreat. There's been so many twists and turns and things that have happened with it, and I'm just honored and happy that we're still going to be doing it. I cannot wait to see you guys that are able to attend. I've had some people ask if I'm going to be doing another one. I believe I will. I believe that I will, but I'm going to take a lot of input from those that attend the first one so that I can organize the next one differently, or possibly exactly the same, because this is also an extension of the work that I do for you. It's not for me. The work that I do is for you. Part of what those of us who find ourselves in any way, shape, or form, if we consider ourselves to be healers, if we consider ourselves, whatever way in which that you frame your work, even if it's just on yourself, being clear that you do not own the knowledge. You don't own how people are going to receive it. You only own yourself and the lessons that you've learned. I can only come from what I have learned, what I have observed of myself. I don't, and I never will, get into the space of telling y'all who you are and what you need to do. I can't do that. I'll never do that. I have too much of my own work to do. What I can do is be honest and share with you the lessons that I've learned, and to share with you the things that have been revealed to me, which I'm honored that they have. So, not posting gets you off of the algorithm, and people kind of lose track of you, and your follower numbers dip because, part of this is entertainment, right? Like, I watch YouTube a lot, and sometimes YouTube gets dry, and I forget about people that I've subscribed to that I really enjoy, but if they're not producing, then I'm not checking for them. So I know it's not personal at all. It's not. But it was just something that needed to be done. And I was going through, it's crazy because sometimes we'll have conflict, or we'll experience conflict where someone is focused on you and they're exposing you to all of this anger and there's all of this stuff. And it's like, we've never had any kind of anything, or I don't even know this person like that, or you just kind of see how they're interacting with the world around them and you get caught up in it. The thing is, so much of what we are experiencing in our day-to-day life is anchored in the unseen. It's anchored in the spirit. It's anchored in who we used to be. It's anchored in energetic things that we can't always account for. I really, before all of this stuff happened, I really did not believe that. I didn't believe that. I remember I had a client ask me if I'd done past life regression or whatever. And I was like, no. Why? Not with any disrespect, but I genuinely... Wait. Ah! It literally... The phone, launched itself on the floor. Okay. That was funny. Okay. Let me collect myself. Okay. So I was saying that I had someone ask me if I had done past life regression. And at the time, I was like, why would I do that? Why? But then later on, you felt yourself falling. What? That was horrible. That was really funny. No, I was saying, yeah, I think it was the ancestors. I think it was. Okay. I think they want me to be thoughtful about how I talk about this. So what I realized was that there is something happening in the collective of an awareness that some of the boxes in your shadow closet might be boxes that were already in the house that you moved in there with. They're not necessarily boxes that you packed yourself. You know what I'm saying? Some of that stuff comes from somewhere else. Sometimes, most of the time, the people that we know, the people in our families, the people that we meet, friendships, sexual relationships, all of that have roots in things that we're not even fully aware of. Now, don't get me wrong. I genuinely do not feel that it's beneficial at this juncture to spend time looking at, the lifetime when whatever the hell I used to be, whatever. If it's not actually directly affecting my life now, because I'm very purpose-driven, as my husband likes to say, I'm very purpose-driven. I am. I do things with purpose and with intention. And so the information that I was interested in and that ended up being revealed to me, because I was not seeking it, it was revealed to me that there are things that I'm experiencing now. Exactly. Your phobias, your fears of things and people, some of the foods that you do not like that you may not actually know why, some of the hurts that you might have that don't make any sense with anything that you've ever experienced. It's all of that, unexplained, you've unpacked your childhood traumas. You've spent the time in meditation and in prayer asking for guidance. You may find that this information comes out to reveal things to you. I also started dreaming about some of the past lives of clients and life coaching people that I've had, and just, things just started to, so anyway, I got caught up in a situation that did not have any roots in reality for the amount of emotion that there was. You guys know I've done lives in the past about being emotionally responsible. And as you know, I'm intuitive. I'm a Scorpio, so I can read your ass, right? And so sometimes people will have an unreasonable amount of emotion when it regards circumstances and it doesn't line up, right? Like, we've all seen it. Somebody is like, you know, ready to punch a hole in somebody's face over nothing, and you're just like, where's this coming from? Like, this doesn't actually have any bearing in reality, right? Like, you observe that. That's kind of what I'm talking about. Sometimes it's that they had a bad day. Sometimes it's that they didn't eat the night before. Sometimes it's, you know, that they just lost a loved one. Those are all like present life, regular ass things, which, to be fully responsible for yourself, you need to evaluate. Why am I feeling what I'm feeling? What is this actually connected to? Okay? When you get past the normal reasons and you check, you trace, those of you guys that do life coaching with me, you know what I'm talking about, where you trace the emotion to its root, and you cannot find a root that makes any sense in what you've actually experienced, that's a clue. Or vice versa. Why is this person fixated on me? Why is this person reacting to me in this way? Why is this person doing these things that don't necessarily make sense, because they've tried their best to tie the stimuli or the emotions that they're experiencing back to some reasonable framework for justification, the seed of it, but the seed of it doesn't exist in anything that they've actually experienced right now. That is the connector in your shadow work that can sometimes be related to past lives. You guys know I did the shadow work series on my Patreon probably 4 months ago, 5 months ago. It's like 8 hours worth of information, and it was done in 4 or 5 parts. So the next set is probably going to be just as long, if not longer, because this is where there's the escalation, right? So first we wanted to figure out what's on the surface of this. How can I take more responsibility for my emotional reactions, for my reactions in general? How do I move away from being reactive and being more intentional and purpose driven, and how I deal with stimuli? What I found happened to me was that I was observing someone have totally abnormal and unreasonable emotional responses. I would pull tarot. Spirit was telling me this person is having all of this stuff with you and this other person. I was in like a triangle thing, and it didn't make any sense at all. Like, there was nothing that could be pointed to in the 38 years I've been on this planet to justify or explain why this person was reacting to me and this other person that I met recently in this way. So all of this, and it escalated quickly, and it got really ugly, like really ugly. And all of this led us to the discovery that, oh, this person is reacting to stimuli that was set into motion before we even got here. And now that this person has view of me and is aware of me, it's triggering. It's triggering them. It's triggering them. And that trigger was giving them a signal that they could have done one of two things. Done the work, like I'm discussing, of getting into the shadow, figuring out what was going on with themselves, taking ownership of it and healing it, or to lash out. When I receive the lash out, what do? We feel bullied, we feel angry, we feel frustrated, we feel all of these things. And it's like, you have no justification for treating me the way that you do. You have no justification for doing the things that you're doing. This doesn't make any sense. I feel justified in my anger. But then I had to take it a couple steps further, because it kept coming up that this person is heartbroken. This person feels betrayed. This person is heartbroken about you. How are they heartbroken when I don't know them personally? I don't have anything to do with this person's inner working, until I found out that I had, in fact. This person was someone who I had had intimate family relationship with before. It wasn't a one-sided thing, but ultimately, because I was a more mature party in this life, I made a decision to not deal with them gently. I made a decision to deal with them harshly. And so this person just coming into the sphere of my environment was reacting to that because they didn't do their shadow work. It was an opportunity for me to do one of two things. Again, deal with them harshly, or take a minute to think about why this might be, which required me to look at myself. And it required me to go within. And it required me to be open to spirit in a way that I never had before. Life-changing. Life-changing. It changed my outlook on how I do my work. It changed my outlook on the relationships that I'm in and why I'm in them. And a relationship is any dynamic where you and another person are interacting on a regular basis. That's it. So it put me in a framework to really consider the weight of all of the things that I discuss. I talk about, when you get a reading with me, we go over your natal chart, your basic knowledge of self. We look at natal chart, then we do tarot, then question and answer, and anything else that spirit is inspiring me to share. The advanced knowledge of self is your natal chart, your basic numerology, the tarot, and then also Q&A, right? All of these things give us information about who it is that we are. Your south node and your north node. Your north node, who am I here to learn to embody? What is the energy that I'm here to learn to embody? My sun sign is my basic orientation for my personality. My north node is giving me clues about where it is and I'm trying to get in this life. And my south node gives me clues about what I used to do, like who I've been, who I might struggle with being, okay? So I have a north node in Cancer, I have a south node in Capricorn. This is stuff I've been doing for close to a year now. But what I didn't fully, and it wasn't that I didn't understand, I just didn't see, it wasn't revealed to me yet how I can take this deeper. There's depth, there's depth, there's depth, there's depth, right? There's water under the water, okay? There's oceans under the ocean. There's rivers flowing through the ocean. You can always go deeper. There's always something else there. So what I realized was, knowing what I know about my chart, the relationship that I have with spirit, the relationships that I've been building in real life that came out of nowhere, right? The good things that have happened out of nowhere and the things that were also really scary. I realized that there's another level to this. It's time for me to go deeper. Now, could I have done this before? Like when I first started just kind of getting a orientation about my gifts and who I was and what I was. Hell no. I would not have been able to process it. It would have been too much. I would not have understood. But after all of this and seeing the ways in which that we are intertwined, it's amazing, it's beautiful, it's terrifying, it's a journey. If you're a parent, you don't know who these children are. You do not know who they are. You don't. You have no idea who these people are. Part of it is that we don't view them as people that we have to get to know. Part of it is that we view them as people that we're supposed to be molding and shaping to whatever it is that we think they're supposed to be. And that's not the case. These are individuals who have their own path that you have to respect, that you have to accept. You have the responsibility to know who you are and what your path is and what you're supposed to be doing. Or you can choose not to, say it's too difficult, and quit and let the system and other people guide you. You can always do that. You always have a choice. The extent, something else that occurred to me in these last couple of months is, while I have been talking, because trust me, I'm aware, but like I said, the depths of things, I've been really on my Scorpio shit. I have been digging and getting deeper and finding about, like, because that's what we do, right? We always want to know what's underneath. I was thinking about this whole idea of sovereignty. Truly thinking about sovereignty, what that really means. It's something that I talk about a lot. It's a catchphrase right now, especially, right? Sovereignty, our rights are being infringed upon, all of that. What does that really mean? Well, we're born into a system of control. It's not like, because I used to think of it the other way, but I'm realizing it's really the other way around. It's not that we're born free and then we like sink further and further and further into these control mechanisms. It's actually the opposite. You're born into a 1000% top to bottom, soup to nuts control mechanism that you throughout your life as you get older try to pull yourself out of. That's actually what it is. You are taught from childhood to participate in, give yourself over to the systems of control. Actually. And then we, as we decide that we are ready and prepared and become more comfortable with pulling ourselves out of those systems, we start to take bits of ourselves back. Let's take this wider. We come here fragmented. We are fragmented beings. The more of ourselves and the parts of ourselves that we know about, that we integrate, we become more sovereign because we are more of ourselves. We belong to the oneness, but we are taking and integrating those parts into our own self, into our being. The thing about it is that shit is difficult. That shit is uncomfortable. It is scary. It's uncharted territory. No one ever talks about it, and they sure as hell aren't giving you information on how to do it. Because you are trying to escape, you're actually escaping the control mechanisms that benefit from that. And so then you have all of these pseudo systems that supposedly free you that are just more of the same. Being conscious and seeking guidance requires you to, without ceasing, question. And it also requires you to call things out. And it requires humility. It requires you to realize that at some point it's not always everybody else. Sometimes it's you. Sometimes it's you. And what I'm learning more and more is that most of the time it actually is you. Most of the time it's me. And so I was thinking about sovereignty and what happens when you start in small ways pulling back from the system, pulling back from what you've been taught you had to do. When you start mourning ahead of time because you feel yourself outgrowing what you've been in. You feel yourself outgrowing those shackles. You feel yourself outgrowing these relationships. You feel yourself outgrowing this job, this city, you feel yourself getting bigger. You feel yourself taking up more and more space. You feel your voice getting louder. You feel that because you came here huge and you shrunk yourself down to fit. You lowered your frequency to fit into this body, to have this experience. And as you evolve and you come out of the systems and you declare more of your own sovereignty, you feel yourself getting bigger. And that can be terrifying. So while on the surface of it, I talk about relocation. I talk about, moving to other countries. I talk about learning new languages. I talk about all of these things. And I also talk about other shit, because I'm not just on one thing. But they're all related. They're not separate. So when I say to people, yes, I do relocation, but it's spiritual work, it's not separate, I mean that shit because it's the truth. You deciding that you want to move, if you've been in the same block your whole life and you decide that you want to move to a new city, that takes some energy and some effort because it can be scary. Sovereignty, standing on your own too, removing from yourself the things that you've been taught to rely upon for safety and security are scary, especially depending on where your Chiron is, especially depending on how you grew up. That can be absolutely terrifying. And what we often do is that when we get closer to really embodying these things, we can self-sabotage. we can start to self-sabotage. We can start to doubt. We can start to pull ourselves back in it. Because there's nobody else to blame when you take full responsibility for yourself. There's nobody else to blame. The more and more of yourself that you take back from other people, that you take back from the system, the more and more of yourself that you start moving different. You start moving different. So I've had people say to me, I really want to go to the retreat. This is just an example. It's no shade. I'm just using this as an example. I've had people say, I have the money, I have the time, I really want to go to the retreat, but I don't want to test. And I'm really, really scared of how I'm going to get back home. I don't know how I'm going to get back in the country. I don't know what to do. And so at that point, there's a choice. Are you going to be limited by what's scary, or are you going to figure out a way around it? And feeling like you have the right to figure out a way around it. That's not something that I can give you. That's not something that anybody else can give you. You have the right to think outside of what they're telling you your possibilities are. And guess what? That applies to everything. You actually have the right to figure out a different way. That is your creator right. As a God being, you have that right. But do you feel comfortable with accepting the consequences of that? And a lot of the reason why we fail is because we aren't actually confident enough to do it, and we don't really feel like we have the right to do it, and we buy into the whole moral framework of you doing what you need to do to exert your proper rights to control yourself, your environment, and your body. A lot of us are actually really uncomfortable with that, and we're not ready for the consequences of that. And so a lot of the things that I talk about may sound crazy and fanciful because that's what I'm talking about. I work around it. And I'm going to be doing even more of it. Like those the world for me is opening up so much. But Spirit is taking me back to some very basic things. I'll take you guys back to what I was talking about earlier about the diplomacy. I have a lot of placements in Libra. And so diplomacy comes naturally to me. But it also is not exactly the most heart-centered thing. Diplomacy gives you a gift of figuring out what to say in the right way to make it easier for everybody involved. That's what diplomacy does. But diplomacy doesn't always respect what I necessarily want to say. Diplomacy doesn't always respect the fact that sometimes it needs to be said in a harsh way. That sometimes diplomacy is not the best. Sometimes diplomacy is coddling. And sometimes it's a cowardly way of not actually embodying and standing in your truth. It's easy. I have been called to pay attention to my reactions more and to really evaluate from a heart-centered space how I feel, even more than I already do. And I was like, good Lord, as sensitive as I am, are you sure? Spirit said, yeah. I said, all right, we'll see how this goes. And so just within the last few days, I've been paying attention to the micro reactions to things. I have successfully gotten past overt reactions, and then I started thinking about the micro reactions that I have to things that then lead me to the feelings that I experience that I don't want to. And I realized, oh shit, this is also me. It's not other people, it's me. It's me. Okay. All right. Challenge accepted. Because I said I want to be on my path. I said I want to be the best me I can be. I've said I want to be clear about where my work is going. And there it is. Sometimes when you're too direct, it's really just being emotionally lazy. What do I mean by that? Emotionally lazy. It takes work and effort to consider the feelings of yourself and those around you. It takes more work sometimes to think about what it is that you're actually trying to say, the root of what you're trying to say, and using the right language for the goal to be heard and not for you to just get it off your chest. In all things, there's a balance. In all things, there needs to be balance. And so I'm looking at these things and thinking about the ways in which that I want to improve my balance for myself and for people that I interact with regularly and for the people that are trusting me to be their guide, either, in relocation or in spiritual work or whatever, and how honored I am. It also, I also had to come to some awarenesses about what it is that I really do. What is it that I do exactly? At least at this juncture. I'm a clarifier. I'm a catalyst and I'm a clarifier. And I am best suited for people at certain stages of their journey. I may be great for you at the beginning and not in the middle. Or I might be great for you in the middle and not till you get towards the, this is the thing, okay? I am suited for who I'm suited for, where they are in their life at that time. I am moving into acceptance of that. It's been very liberating for me. Yes, I am. I'm going to post this. Don't worry. It's been really revealing to me about how my work has evolved. Because you know what else I realized too? Sometimes just the interaction with my energy is enough to kind of let people know where they're at. And that's fine too. Right? Knowing, oh my God, I'm not really ready for this. Or this person isn't really what I need more. Or this person is a little too intense and I need a little less. Changing the way that we interact with each other and come to conclusions about who we are and what our relationships are for. That's been really, really, really amazing to see up close. Because that's where our love for each other and for ourselves comes in. Can I still love you if you're not able to give me what I need right now? Can I still love you if you're not around right now? Can you still love me if I'm not around or if I can't give you what you need right now? Really love me. Can I really love anyone who's not giving me what I think I want right now? It changes the focus from a transactional experience that constantly places what you need from the person above their humanity in and of itself. So it's the other side to this because we say these things, but I don't think that we really spend the time unpacking it. When we say love from a distance, when we talk about forgiving someone without necessarily interacting with them, or how, forgiving someone but not restoring them in the relationship, that's kind of that's the underpinnings, right? Can I love you knowing that you're toxic for me right now and I cannot exchange with you? Because what I've learned, and I've experienced this firsthand, so I know it works. My love for someone who I don't interact with, it's still real. Your thoughts are things. Your feelings are things. Your feelings manifest in real ways. I can still love someone that I don't talk to and then later see that they've actually been experiencing that love coming through different things. Maybe my love for you is the butterfly that lands on your car, or the parking spot that you got that you didn't think you were going to get. Just because I love you still and I allow that space, that energy to come from my heart chakra out. Not knowing how it's going to land or how it's going to manifest, but just that it's an actual thing. Love is a thing. It's an action. It's an activity. It's a concept. It's a part of what actually makes us alive. So thinking about these concepts larger. Now, that takes me to the next thing, frequency. So the day, I want to say, No, it was a couple weeks before that. I had been at the water a couple of weeks before I got the message about my hair. But a couple weeks before, it was like, you need to give sound baths. What? Why? Why? You need to do work with people in person, meaning I'm being called to actually serve the community here in person. Then I'm also supposed to start doing past life work. That will show up very soon in my book now offerings. It's something that I'm doing collectively. It's not just me. It's like a team of people. That's like, because it's very serious work, and we're actually like getting together to create change and to evaluate and help people find what's connected to other things in addition to my regular readings. Sound baths, frequency, past life stuff, all of that. It's been really, I was getting screamed at, you need to drink more water. You need to be at the water. You need to go to the river. You need to go to the ocean. You need to, all of that. And I said, okay. The way that the communication is coming is different. It's changed. My gifts have changed, and they've, I'm barely even using tarot anymore. I will be reading for you guys tomorrow. I'm going to post it. I'm going to do some collective reads. Well, individual, but for everybody. Because I feel like that's something that would be beneficial to folks. It's really good. I feel really good. I feel clearer about things. This is something I would be remiss to forget to mention. When you change, so this includes you making that big decision, you changing the way you interact with someone, you ending a relationship, you starting a new relationship, resolving things, offering forgiveness to someone, having a dream about something that you did before and getting it confirmed, clearing past life traumas, all of that stuff, doing your shadow work, all of those things can change the course of your life in ways that you do not necessarily have the ability to anticipate. When you say out loud, I am ready to receive my gifts, I am ready to be on my path, you got to get ready for shit that you can't anticipate. People will come close to you out of nowhere, and people that you thought were your ace are going to fade away because you're just on different frequencies. It's not even conscious most of the time. I've been going through another Phoenix phase, which is what Scorpios do, and been digging all in my Pluto, all in the, and I'm sure you can tell my energy feels different. It's a good place. I'm ready for this work. I'm excited about this work. I'm so grateful that you guys have interacted with me and given me an idea of the direction that this is going. If you haven't joined Patreon and you don't know what I'm talking about with the Shadow Work series, please do. If you only join long enough to do the Shadow Work series, that's fine. I promise you that's okay. I just want you to get it. I want you to hear it. I want you to receive that before we continue, because we're getting ready to get into some deeper, more esoteric stuff. My projection is that by the end of the year, there'll be close to 40 or 50 people who've come to Costa Rica just through the work that I've been doing, and I'm really honored. I'm so honored. There's some other people that are going to Mexico soon that I've helped, and I'm honored. I'm so honored and happy. And some of you guys moved out of the state or out of the city that you've been in that you hated. And if any way I contributed to that, I'm honored. I'm still here. If you want to book some time with me, click the book now button in my bio. You're going to see a little bit more of me. Thank you for your patience. This was necessary. It really was. I'm not one of these people who could just be on here eating and driving and talking shit, and that's not me. If I don't have anything to say, I'm not gonna say anything. And I haven't had anything to say. I'm a very purpose-driven person. I just am, and like, I have children and 3 dogs, and like, I've been looking for apartments and houses for people, and getting people from the airport, and going to parties, and going to the beach, and hanging out with my kid. My youngest just turned 16. What? My twin just turned 16. It's been an action-packed month and a half. And planning the retreat and just all that stuff, and having these revelations, and I feel good, and I thank you all for being here with me. If this is what you're really about, and you really do want to evolve and do better, accept all that comes with it, and don't bitch out. You got to stay on it. You have to. You cannot give up on you. You can't. You cannot. If you say that you want to be aware, and you want to get your gifts, and you want to have a stronger relationship with spirit, and you set up your altar because you want, if you set up your altar and then you start hearing stuff, or your candles start flickering, why are you scared? Like, you said that that's what you wanted. You got to accept all that comes with it, all of what comes with it, all of it. You must be in agreement to be in alignment. So as always, my peace is my resistance. But I'm also learning that I have a lot more responsibility in maintaining that peace than I even fully understood. So my understanding of my sovereignty is expanding. And my personal responsibility in my own happiness is expanding. And it's not always everybody else. That shit drives me crazy. I'm just going to be real. This idea that like everyone around me is toxic. Everyone around me is trying to take advantage of me. Everyone around me is problematic. Everyone around me betrays me. Da 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 da. It's always everyone else. That is, if it's always everyone else, that means that you're always the victim. That's the opposite of sovereignty, just so we're clear. You kind of can't have it both ways. You have to take responsibility and ownership for you. It's always everybody else? Are you sending mixed signals? Are you unclear about what it is that you want in a relationship? Are you unclear about what it is that you need in your life at the moment? Are you unclear about your own emotional and mental health? How is that everybody else? That's you. How do you know that your perception of the situation is even accurate if you haven't taken the time to look at yourself first? It can't always be everybody else. It can't. Sometimes it is. We talked about that. But it can't be everybody all the time. Because at the end of the day, let's say that everybody in your camp is absolute trash. You chose them. Why are you choosing those kind of people? Just saying. What is it that you're playing out that has you stuck in these cycles? Just saying. It can't always be everybody else. Maybe it's you. Take responsibility. That's all. That's all. And know that you are supported, and do so without the judgment. Do so with love. Bathe yourself in love and understanding. Bathe yourself in love and understanding while you are taking responsibility for you. Yeah, you get exposed to a lot more, especially if you're an influencer. You get exposed to all kinds of stuff. And yes, yeah. And if you're doing this kind of work, it's even more so the case. But at the end of the day, I have the ability to evaluate. I've had, honest to God, very, very few really overtly negative interactions with clients that have booked with me. Honestly. And a lot of that is because I listen to my intuition. I really do. Like, I know. I can feel it before I get on the phone with you. When you respond to the email after you've booked your appointment, I got a read on your voice. I can already hear you. I already know what your energy is going to be like. So then I had to ask myself, you know how to do this. Why is it that you're not applying this with other things? Why is it that you're not allowing that gift that you have to be applied to other things? If you can tell from an email who you're dealing with, why aren't you doing that when you're picking a caterer, or when you're going on a trip, or when you're looking for a Uber driver, or whatever the hell? Or when you're like, why aren't you applying this more widely? Why are you restricting it to, like, come on. It's the ways in which that I have gotten used to, because I've spent my whole life in this masculine framework that actively seeks to undermine the validity of using what is considered to be a feminine energy of intuition and evaluation from the subconscious. The conscious mind resides in the tactile, in the physical, and the subconscious, which is the majority of like everything, is usually in the unseen for the most part. It's the unseen that makes the seen real. So I was like, why am I still operating in the space of the seen with shit that is, there is nothing that's outside of the unseen. There is nothing that's not touched by the spirit world. It just isn't. Everything that we see in the physical is connected to the spiritual world. And it may not be something that was set into motion in the however many years you've been in this particular incarnation. You follow? There is nothing that is in the physical that was not first imagined in the unseen, in the spiritual, in the divine feminine, in the dark matter, in the chaos, in the primordial water that is the feminine. Nothing. So if I know that, then it's probably wise for me to start there and not start in the physical and work my way back. I'm just not going to do that anymore. I have access to the origin, so why don't I start there? And as much as I claim and say that I'm ready to be fully sovereign, what parts of it do I still hold on to? And why? What parts of the bondage am I getting some benefit from that I'm not willing to let it go? If I want to fully step in to my sovereignty as a divine being, I have to be okay with accepting all of what comes with it. And in that, I've also found that it's freed me to say, not having had role models, aunties, the best relationship with my mother or other women that I, really trusted, or having guidance or having a mentor. This is where that kind of can blow up in your face. Because if you want to be sovereign and you realize that all of the things that you've been taught have led you to follow the same path that the people that are now trying to tell you, that you need to like do things the way they did it, and you're the one that wants to do something different, there isn't any precedent set for that, really. And so it can feel really lonely and really scary. And so what I realize is that when we talk about being, belonging to ourselves or having personal sovereignty, it can also go with it this sense of alienation, this sense of loneliness, right? And also feeling like, well, because I'm trying to be sovereign, I can't ask for help. There's nobody that I can talk to. I'm completely alienated. And if I make a mistake, then everyone's going to laugh at me and say, see? When I ask to be put on the path, I also ask for guidance and for assistance. You asked a good question. Does that question regarding sovereignty also inform your ultimate decision not to want to reincarnate as well? Yeah, because I don't want to reincarnate for several reasons, but one of the main reasons is that as I understand that I am a fractal of the one, of source. When I realize fully that I am but a fractal of the source, meaning I am a miniature version, it's not that we're part of, we're actually an identical fractal, a repeat with all the same things, right? We are our own universe. There's a whole universe operating within our very bodies. We are also a part of the universe. We're a fractal, right, of source. The more that I expand and I come into that awareness, as a creator, as a divine creator, as, all of that, right? It's also making me aware that I want to fully fulfill what I'm supposed to fulfill so that I can then embody different forms of energy. So I can interact with a different environment. I do not want to have to be exposed to this same environment again. I would like to be released from this plane. I don't know if I want to go be a star. I don't know if I want to go, to the ancestral realm and teach or do healing work. Because the thing is, we never stop learning. Just because we leave the physical in this realm, we go to other realms and continue to learn. So, I don't know what I want to do. I just know I don't want to do this again. I don't want to do this again. Not at all. Not at all. But that could change too. I mean, I remember when I was in my 20s, I was very firm and clear that I didn't want to live past 55. Like the fuck for. I had my first son when I was 19 and my second one when I was 22. And I was like, okay, 55, 60-ish, they'll be in their 40s. They're going to have to, I'll do what I have to make sure that there's finances for them, that I've given them tons of love and support. But after 55, 60 years old, I don't want to be here. I was like, this shit is whack. I've known it for a long time. I didn't want to be here. Like, I really didn't. And for a lot of people, that translates as being morbid or being suicidal. No, I just was like, I'm here for my kids. And how long are they going to need me? Because personally, I'm miserable. I just didn't want to do it, right? But at that point, I was still operating and feeling very much so like a mule, very much so not embodied, like really not even owning my own body, not owning my experience, not owning any of those things. I saw myself through the lens of use to others only. And I personally wasn't enjoying this life. Not saying that that's the only value is in enjoyment, but that's just kind of where I was. And so this new thing, like really realizing, and I'm still, I'm just sharing with y'all what I'm thinking. I'm not telling you this part, because this part is the part I've been struggling with. And it doesn't apply to everybody all the time either. But what happens when you no longer have parameters? What happens when you're actually free to make, manifest, and live whatever you want? All of us think, oh, that would be great. And I had become, in my name to fame, or the fame to my name, and what I felt super confident about with myself was that you could put me in any box. I literally have said this. You could try to suffocate me and I would have a straw in my mouth and be able to breathe out of the damn straw. You could have your hands over my nose and my mouth and I would be able to breathe just enough to stay alive. Like, I have always figured out a way to survive under any circumstances. Penniless. I could live on $10 for a week and a half if I had to. Like, I've always been, it's something that I always felt a lot of pride about. So then when Spirit said, you have none of that. You have no restrictions. You do whatever you want. What? Like, what does that even mean? And then it really made me question, do I know what I want? Or have I always framed what I wanted within the context of my limitations? I've always made the best of what I was in. That's not the same as you can have whatever you want. That's not the same as anything that you do will be blissed. What happens when you really see that you don't have limitations except for the ones that you put on yourself or the ones that you agree to? That shit sounds cute, but especially if you've grown up in poverty or under oppression or whatever. The idea that that's suddenly not there anymore and that you get to choose that it's not there anymore, it can be very unnerving. There is no ceiling, there is no floor. I have no walls. What? So what do I really want? I'm not sure. I know that I want to be on my path. I know that I want to evolve into my highest self. I know that I want to continue to integrate all parts of my higher self. I know that. But like in the day-to-day and the tactile, I have no idea. And so I just let myself do nothing. Because I needed to just sit still for a minute and think about all the things that I used to think that I liked. Well, why do I like them? Most of the things that I felt like I wanted are things that I felt like, most of the things that I thought that I wanted were things that I didn't have access to before. And so I wanted to acquire those things or experience those things because it was something that I couldn't have before. But if now I can have anything, do I even want that? It really makes you think about who you are really. Who am I really? What do I actually want? Do I want this thing because I couldn't have it before? Do I want this thing because I didn't have it before? Do I want this thing because I'm trying to make good on something that went wrong? Do I want this thing because my ego wants this thing? Because my ego wants to be fed? Because I want to be seen having this thing or doing this thing? Do I actually have integrity? Am I actually loyal? Am I actually a friend? Do I even want friends? Do I care what people think about me? Do I actually want to lose weight because I don't really like my current shape? Or do I want to lose weight because I feel like I have to? Do I want to gain weight because they've made me feel like as I am isn't good enough, and so now I have to like, where is this really coming from? Like, really? Where is this really coming from? What is it that we actually want? Are we moving exclusively from fear? And let me just sidebar, I'm really kind of rambling. I didn't think I had this much to say, but I guess I do. This idea that fear is not a valid motivator is kind of half of it, right? There's a time and a place for everything. And all of your emotions deserve to be respected. But they do have to be balanced. You can't allow any one part. That includes toxic optimism. Anything that is extreme or all in one direction is imbalance, and therefore it can't be accurate because we live in a dual paradigm. Our paradigm is dual. Therefore, balance is needed. Okay? So, if it's time for war, then it's time for war. And if your ass is going to sit there and let yourself get slaughtered, I don't know what to tell you. But if that's what you're feeling guided to do, that's a part of your path. That don't have nothing to do with me. But self-evaluation is absolutely required all the time. So really knowing what it is that you want, what is motivating this desire to have or do whatever, where is that really coming from, which usually takes you to your shadow. Do you see how it's all connected? Because it is. It's all connected. You guys get to see this in real time. In real time. And it's happened very quickly. And it's happening quickly for a lot of us. I just need you guys to open your eyes and look at you. It can't always be everybody else. It can't always be everybody else's fault. It's not always love and light. Sometimes it's death and dark. Sometimes it's hate and rage. That's real too, and you got to integrate it. You have to integrate it because it all exists. It is toxic if you're negative and you can't see anything past what you can see. That's a problem. If everything is always, if it's always, oh, it's never going to work and I don't believe this and it can't happen and I don't, then you are literally limiting your own possibilities by the virtue of the fact that you have already declared it to not be possible. Do you hear me? If you declare from the outset that something isn't going to happen or it's not possible, then it's not for you because you've already declared it. It is a part of your belief system. It's a part of your paradigm. That's what you've accepted for yourself. Flip side, toxic optimism is when you avoid taking into account the reality of your current situation and you choose to overextend and pretend. If you're not looking at it holistically, then it's toxic and you're being extreme. We have to find the middle. We have to find the middle of wherever it is that we're at. Be in reality about where you're actually at. And those of you that have done spiritual life coaching with me, you know I do not tolerate that shit. I don't. You're not going to get on the phone with me talking to me about how everything's so awful and you had nothing to do with it. I'm not your girl. I'm not good at that. I'm not good at that because I don't tolerate that off of anybody. I don't tolerate it with myself, much less anyone else. I'm just not here for that. I'm not going to do it. You can't tell me how nobody understands you when you communicate in fables and riddles and you don't know what you're actually saying. Eric, if only you knew how accurate that was, because I really don't. I don't tolerate that. I don't allow it for myself. Why would I allow it for you? It's not my function. It's not my function. I'm a clarifier. I am a support. I hold myself and other people accountable. I'm loving. But this is part of how I show my love. I said this to my kids today. My husband was talking about how he likes to buy them sweets and snacks and stuff because, you know, he does that for himself and he likes to show them love that way. And when he said it, I was like, that's true. That is how he shows love. And so I said to my kids, I said, I don't buy y'all snacks and treats because I love you. It's a part of how I show my love for you, that I won't get you those things. That I'll tell you to go eat a banana and an apple before you eat lunch, and you got to eat a salad before dinner. Like, that's how I show my love. That's how I show it. So I'm supporting them to not have some of the struggles that I've had. All of that bullshit about like, oh, once you're a parent, like you can't be a hypocrite. You're supposed to be. If you love your kids, you're supposed to be a hypocrite. The fuck you mean? The point is that you were given, or these people chose to be guided by you so that they can glean the knowledge the knowledge from your bloodline that they chose to be born into. So like, we chose to be born into the bloodlines that we're in, and we have access to the collective memory of these bloodlines. Okay? You as a parent, parenting this person that came through you, you're supposed to want them to do better than you did. You're supposed to want them to have more than what you did. You're supposed to want them to be guided better than you were. Which means you're going to tell them, don't do what I did. Do better. Don't do this. Don't do that. Be this. Be that. you're supposed to be a hypocrite. Fight me. Like, I don't care. I'm not trying to have my children go through the same challenges that I did. Number one, because they have their own path. Number two, that's part of the reason why I'm their parent. Because I'm supposed to learn and then pass that information on and that knowledge on to them. I'm being given this platform, and y'all have decided to listen to me and share my work, and, you know, so that you can get access to the knowledge and the things that I've gleaned from my own experience and from the lines of my ancestors and from whatever spirit has decided to share with me. Okay. All right. I'm gonna do better about posting stuff to YouTube. I would love it very much if you guys followed me on YouTube. It's the Global Black Girl, and you watched my videos over there. I needed this time. I have even more to say. I'm going to be doing a read, so I'll make a post about it. I'll be pulling tarot. Maybe I'll do it tonight. Do you guys think I should come back on tonight and pull for some of you? Let me know what you think. Comment as soon as you can. Aw, Kat, you're so sweet. Thank you. You're so sweet. Yeah, imagine your life without restrictions and what it is that you really would like. Who it is that you really are without those things. What is it that you really enjoy doing? Like, actually asking yourself that. And if it feels uncomfortable, sitting in that uncomfortability. Really? Okay, so yeah, I'm going to come back later and I'll pull tarot random. Hey! Hey Gladys, hey Mr. DDP. Hey Crunchy Vibes. So yeah, I'll come back on later and I'll pull tarot. And I cannot guarantee there won't be another rant. I'm getting the material together for the retreat presentations, and we're going to be like literally, I got a lot to say. So those of you that have hung with me on my Patreon, thank you. If you haven't joined, please consider joining. It's about to get really active because I've gotten a lot of downloads. Yeah, I was in my Scorpio thing, and now I'm ready to share, and I have things to share. But thank you guys for your support. I love you to pieces. I'll see you later today. Okay? Bye. Doot. Doot.